Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So this is a follow-up to the video that I did about Monique going against Charlamagne the God on the Breakfast Club. Now, some people suggested that I should fall back and just be quiet if I disagree with Monique and her position. Some people talked about how you need to stay on code and this and that. First of all, I think it's silly to quote unquote stay on code. I think that we need to have an exchange of ideas, a debate of ideas, and let the best ideas win out based on logic and reason and common sense. I don't believe that we should censor ourselves for the sake of having some phony appearance of black unity. I think that people should be free to express themselves and to debate ideas. And this is such an example. You know, um, I reject the notion that people should be quiet on important issues, and this is one issue. I say that I speak truth to power, and sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes people don't want to deal with the truth. So here we have Monique, who's talking about how Netflix is discriminating against black women. And this whole deal that Netflix has with Tiffany Haddish completely destroys that argument because apparently she has a lucrative deal with Netflix. The actual amount has not been disclosed. And this is very important, this deal was reached before Monique made her calls for a boycott against Netflix. So this completely undermines what Monique is talking about because you have an African American comedian who has received a lucrative deal with Netflix. And it's no coincidence why this sister has received a lucrative deal, and it goes back to popularity and numbers, as we were talking about before. The fact of the matter is, Monique is not hot right now in comedy. She is not um, in high demand. People are not clamoring to see Monique perform. And even a lot of the people that are defending her admit that she's not funny, that she's not all that funny as a comedian and stuff like that. They want to hold this woman up as some kind of beacon of hope, like she's some kind of martyr for black issues and all this and that, when this woman's career is based on coonery and buffoonery. I mean, it can be summed up that way. But this whole deal with Tiffany Haddish completely undermines this argument that Netflix is out to discriminate against black women. Because here you have a black woman who has a lucrative deal with Netflix. And it's because this woman is hot. It's about like her current success. Like, for instance, they say that she was in this best-selling or hit comedy, Girls Trip. I haven't seen the film. She also has a best-selling memoir called The Last Black Unicorn, as pointed out in this article. She did a major commercial during a Super Bowl for Groupon. Also, she's supposed to be on an upcoming TV show on TBS called The Last OGs with Tracy Morgan. So she has a lot of stuff going on right now. And that's why Netflix is paying attention to her, and that's why they offered her such a great deal. And from what I understand, she also has a deal with HBO. So all of this undercuts this whole argument that Monique is making about Netflix discriminating against African American women. And then when you look at all the African American women and just African Americans in general who are able to reach good deals with Netflix, like when you look at a Regina King, for instance, on that new series, 7 Seconds, which I saw and is a good series. And you look at Chris Rock, you look at Dave Chappelle, you look at Marlon Wayans, Cat Williams, and all these other comedians that are on Netflix. If Netflix was so discriminatory against African Americans and black women in particular, they wouldn't have these deals. They wouldn't have African Americans in all these Netflix films and all these Netflix specials and all that kind of stuff. So I just think that this, again, is another situation of somebody using their personal situation and playing the race card to rally support behind them. Because again, if Netflix was so racist, they would not be signing up all these black comedians like a Tiffany Haddish. So tell me what y'all think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace. And before I go, I want to address one last point about this discussion between Monique and Charlamagne. Now, a lot of people have discredited Charlamagne, and they basically have written him off and said, well, nothing he says is credible because he's a coon. And I understand why people call him a coon. They say he has bleached his skin and he has all these coon-like tendencies. And I won't debate that. You know, I can see people's point about that. And this is what I have to say about this whole thing. Even if Charlamagne the God was a tap dancing, watermelon eating, chicken eating, bug dancing, skin bleaching coon Negro, that would not change the validity of the point that he has raised. It would not undermine the substance or the merits of his point about numbers. And that's what people don't understand. They don't understand that just by calling him a coon, that doesn't mean that what he said was wrong when he talked about numbers. Calling somebody a coon is not a rebuttal to the actual points that that person made. You have to attack the substance. And until you're able to show that this woman would have similar numbers, or that she has high numbers, or she's in high demand, you can't refute what he's saying. You can't refute his argument about numbers.